What happened to the cast of Gossip Girl? They ruled the Upper East Side, but what happened when the cameras stopped rolling? Scandals, ruined careers, shocking accusations, and even an unexpected death? The cast of Gossip Girl has lived through more drama than their on-screen characters ever did. One star vanished from Hollywood completely, another faced explosive legal battles, and one became one of the most hated actors in Hollywood. From mystery deaths to career-ending mistakes, this is the real story of what happened to your favorite Gossip Girl stars. And trust me, you won't believe where they are now. Taylor Momsen walked away from Gossip Girl in its third season, leaving behind a hit show to chase a music career that was barely taking off. At the time, people thought she was making the biggest mistake of her life. Critics slammed her decision, calling it reckless. Who walks away from Hollywood fame for a band that no one even knew? But Taylor didn't care. She took the risk. And guess what? She became a full-blown rock star. Side note, ever noticed how her song Make Me Wanna Die played in Gossip Girl? Yep, that was season 4, episode 9.
It's a bad boy bachelor.
I understand the consequences. Are we willing to pay them?
You make me wanna die.
But Taylor's exit wasn't just controversial, it was messy. Behind the scenes, she was labeled a nightmare to work with. Project Runway's Tim Gunn, who guest starred on the show, didn't hold back when he threw her under the bus. "What a diva," he scoffed. She was pathetic. She couldn't even remember her lines, and she didn't have that many. Let's pause for a second. Taylor was 17 when Gunn, who was 58 at the time, made that public jab. Brutal, right? But Taylor had a response that shut everything down. She revealed that she wasn't just some careless teen forgetting her lines. She was miserable. She never even wanted to act in the first place. "My parents signed me up with Ford modeling at the age of 2. No 2-year-old wants to be working, but I had no choice," she admitted. While some were quick to believe the diva label, others stood by her. Gossip Girl co-stars Chase Crawford and Blake Lively defended Taylor, saying she wasn't the nightmare people made her out to be. But the damage was already done. Her reputation as a difficult child star was cemented, and in Hollywood, that's a label you don't shake off easily. Lucky for Taylor, she never wanted to shake it off. She had already made her choice. She was done with acting. But just when it seemed like things were looking up for Taylor, life threw her a curveball. In 2018, she tragically lost her best friend and music mentor, Kato Kandwala. His death hit Taylor hard, and she was left completely shattered. She admitted that it tore her apart, sending her spiraling into a dark place of depression and suicidal thoughts. In fact, she turned to drugs to cope with the pain. "I essentially quit everything. I stopped making music. I couldn't listen to music. It bummed me out, for lack of a better term. It was dark. It got very dark there for a while," she confessed. But like any true fighter, Taylor eventually found her way out of that dark hole. With time, hard work, and new music, she's managed to pull herself together. And looking at her now, she's thriving. At 31 years old, she's a badass rock legend, leading the Pretty Reckless to worldwide success. Turns out, walking away from Gossip Girl wasn't a mistake. Michelle Trachtenberg was just 22 when she first stepped into the world of Gossip Girl, playing the scheming, unpredictable Georgina Sparks. A character so iconic, she remains a fan favorite to this day. But long before Gossip Girl, Michelle had already been acting for years, having started in the industry as a child, much like her co-star Taylor Momsen. However, after Gossip Girl wrapped, Michelle's career seemed to stall. She wasn't landing big roles, and for the most part, she faded from the spotlight. That was until 2023, when she suddenly made headlines again, but for all the wrong reasons. Fans were shocked when Michelle posted pictures of herself on social media, looking noticeably different. What stood out the most? Her yellow eyes. Concerned followers immediately flooded her comments, asking if she was okay, with some speculating that the discoloration could be a sign of liver disease. Michelle, however, wasn't having any of it. "I've received several comments recently about my appearance. I have never had plastic surgery. I am happy and healthy. Check yourself, haters," she fired back. Her response dismissed the concerns, but sadly, those fears may not have been unfounded. On February 26, 2025, Michelle was found dead in her apartment by her mother. She was only 39. The official cause of death was not disclosed, but reports surfaced that she had undergone a liver transplant just months prior. News of her passing sent shockwaves through the Gossip Girl fandom and beyond. Her former co-stars, including Chase Crawford, Blake Lively, and Taylor Momsen, shared heartfelt tributes, remembering her as a vibrant, joyful presence. Penn Badgley, from lonely boy to TV's most terrifying lover. Before Gossip Girl, Penn Badgley was no stranger to the screen. With roles like Jake in The Young and the Restless and Joel Larson in Do-Over, he was already making waves in Hollywood. But did you know that he initially turned down the role of Dan Humphrey? That's right, Penn wasn't interested in playing Lonely Boy at first. However, after the creators struggled to find the perfect Dan, they circled back to him and, thankfully, he reconsidered. Can you imagine anyone else in that role? Yeah, me neither. After Gossip Girl, Penn didn't just continue acting. He completely reinvented himself. He ditched the brooding outsider persona and took on something far darker. Joe Goldberg in Netflix's hit series You, which premiered in 2018. With his chillingly charismatic performance, Penn successfully shed his Gossip Girl image and cemented himself as the king of twisted TV anti-heroes. But let's talk about his real love life, because Penn has had his fair share of high-profile romances. Back in 2007, when Gossip Girl first aired, he and co-star Blake Lively took their on-screen chemistry off-screen. They dated for 3 years before calling it quits in 2010, meaning they had to continue working together as exes. Awkward. After Blake, Penn moved on to another Hollywood IT girl, Zoe Kravitz. The two were together for about 2 years before going their separate ways. But it was his next relationship that truly stuck. In 2014, he started dating singer and doula Domino Kirka, and by 2017, they were married. The couple is now growing their family, with one biological child together, one from Domino's previous relationship, and get this, they're currently expecting twins. From lonely boy to America's most unsettling stalker to devoted family man, Penn Badgley's transformation has been nothing short of fascinating. Ed Westwick, best known as Gossip Girl's ultimate bad boy Chuck Bass, has come a long way since his Upper East Side days. While his character was all about power, money, and questionable morals, real-life Ed seems to have settled into a much more wholesome role: husband and stepfather. He recently tied the knot with actress Amy Jackson, who had a son from a previous marriage. And guess what? Ed has fully embraced the stepdad life. The couple is now also expecting their first child together, proving that Westwick has left his Playboy days behind for good. But his journey hasn't been without controversy. Back in November 2017, just 5 years after Gossip Girl ended, a BBC drama he was starring in was pulled from the network's Christmas schedule after 3 women accused him of rape. The scandal nearly ended his career, but in 2018, it was announced that he would not face charges due to lack of sufficient evidence. After the case was closed, Ed slowly made his way back into the industry. He's taken on several projects since, with his most recent being the film Dark Game, where he played the leading role. As for his personal life, Ed's romantic history isn't as scandalous as Chuck's. During the Gossip Girl era, he famously dated his co-star Jessica Soar, who played Vanessa, Dan's best friend. Though their relationship didn't last, they managed to stay on good terms. And speaking of friendships, Ed has remained close with many of his former castmates. He still keeps in touch with Chase Crawford, Blake Lively, and Kelly Rutherford, who played Lily Vander Woodson, Chuck's stepmother on the show. In fact, Kelly was a guest at his wedding and even gave a speech. Chase was invited too, but due to scheduling conflicts, he couldn't make it. If you thought Serena Vander Woodson was messy, just wait until you hear about real-life Blake Lively. First off, let's talk about who doesn't follow her on social media anymore. Her ex Penn Badgley and almost every other Gossip Girl co-star, except for Ed Westwick and Chase Crawford. Suspicious, right? Turns out Blake might not have been all that different from her character. Rumors have swirled for years that she was not the nicest person on set. She allegedly bullied her co-star Leighton Meester, Blair Waldorf, creating a toxic environment that forced the cast to pick sides. And guess what? Most of them chose Leighton. That might explain why they still follow Leighton, but want nothing to do with Blake. And it gets worse: Blake's messy personal life. After Gossip Girl wrapped, Blake wasted no time marrying Ryan Reynolds in 2012. But here's the tea. Ryan had just divorced his ex-wife Scarlett Johansson, and rumors say Blake was the reason why. Apparently, Ryan was cheating on Scarlett with Blake. If true, it just proves that Blake doesn't care who gets hurt as long as she gets what she wants. Now, Blake and Ryan have 4 kids. But while her personal life might seem perfect on paper, her career hit a major slump after getting married. For a while, Hollywood didn't know what to do with her. That is, until she got the role of Lily Bloom in It Ends With Us, a movie directed by Justin Baldoni. It was meant to be her big comeback, but instead, it became a disaster. The movie was supposed to spread awareness about domestic violence, but Blake treated it like some cutesy Barbie fantasy, using press tours to promote her own brand instead of discussing the actual topic. Fans were already side-eyeing her, but then she dropped the real bombshell. She accused Justin Baldoni of sexual assault. Blake claimed that he had been inappropriate during filming. Baldoni fought back. He sued her for defamation and released behind-the-scenes footage and screenshots of their conversations. And guess what? The receipts didn't add up. In the footage, Blake seemed totally fine during the exact scenes she later claimed were inappropriate. In fact, Justin was the one setting boundaries, not her. Fans started putting the pieces together and came up with a theory. Blake has a history of falling for her co-stars. Penn Badgley, Leonardo DiCaprio, Ryan Reynolds. You get the idea? So, when Justin Baldoni rejected her, her huge ego couldn't handle it. Instead of moving on, she allegedly tried to ruin his career. Blake's accusations backfired spectacularly. Fans quickly turned against her, accusing her of weaponizing a serious issue for personal revenge. Now, she's gone from America's sweetheart to one of the most hated actresses in Hollywood. Fans have essentially blacklisted her and her husband for trying to destroy an innocent man's reputation. At 37 years old, Blake Lively is no longer the beloved Golden Girl. Instead, she's being called out as a manipulative liar with a massive ego. And honestly, there's no telling if she'll ever recover from this. While Nate Archibald was the golden boy of the Upper East Side, Chase has completely reinvented himself. His biggest role post-Gossip Girl? The Deep in the Boys. And let's be real, going from a heartthrob in a teen drama to a messed up, chaotic, and oddly hilarious superhero is the kind of career pivot that most actors can only dream of. With The Boys, Chase has built an entirely new fan base, proving that he's not just another pretty face. But that's not all. He also starred in the 2020 thriller Inheritance alongside Emily in Paris's Lily Collins, and more recently, he's been in the mystery film Reunion, now about his love life, or lack thereof. Unlike his former co-stars, Chase hasn't settled down, but that doesn't mean he hasn't had his fair share of romances. Over the years, he's been linked to some pretty famous ladies, including Carrie Underwood, 2007 to 2008, a short-lived romance that ended amicably. Rebecca Rittenhouse, 2015 to 2018, his longest relationship to date. Even though they split, they still share custody of their dog Shiner. Adrena Patridge, Rochelle Goulding, and Kelsey Merritt. But as of now, Chase is single, unbothered, and seemingly in no rush to settle down, unlike some of her Gossip Girl co-stars like Blake Lively, who were born into privilege. Leighton Meester had a rough start in life. In fact, her story sounds more like something out of a drama series than real life. Her mother literally gave birth to her while serving time in prison. While her co-stars were spending their Gossip Girl money on designer clothes, vacations, and the usual Hollywood luxuries, Leighton was sending hers home to support her family, specifically her younger brother who had medical issues. But instead of using the money responsibly, her mother blew it on cosmetic procedures and personal indulgences. In 2011, Leighton had enough and sued her mother for misusing the money that was meant for her brother. Her mother, in a bizarre twist, countersued, claiming Leighton had promised her $10,000 a month for life, but only paid $7,500. Luckily, the judge dismissed her mother's ridiculous claims, and Leighton, being the kind soul she is, still offered to pay for her brother's medical bills and education. Despite her troubled past, Leighton was one of the most beloved people on set. Producers and co-stars alike have described her as humble, down-to-earth, and genuinely kind. On screen, Leighton stole hearts as Blair Waldorf, the queen bee with a vulnerable side, but after Gossip Girl wrapped in 2012, she didn't follow the Hollywood fast track like the rest of her co-stars. Then, in 2014, she surprised everyone when she married actor Adam Brody. Instead of chasing fame, she chose a quiet life, focusing on her marriage and later, motherhood. For years, Hollywood barely heard a peep from her. No drama, no scandals, just Leighton living her life away from the spotlight. Then, almost a decade later, she re-emerged. After taking time off to build her family, Leighton stepped back into Hollywood, proving that she still had it. She made her return with roles in The Weekend Away, Xmas, River Wild, and the currently running series Good Cop, Bad Cop. Now at 38 years old, Leighton is back and thriving. But unlike before, she's doing it on her own terms, with her husband and kids cheering her on. Speaking of family and support, Jessica Soar has also found her perfect match. In 2024, she married ice hockey player Brad Richardson, and the two can't seem to get enough of each other. The couple shares a daughter, Bowie, and if Jessica's posts are anything to go by, she's absolutely loving the mom life. If there's one Gossip Girl star whose career tanked after the show, it's Connor Paolo. In season 5, he made the bold decision to leave Gossip Girl for a role in the ABC drama Revenge. At the time, it seemed like a smart move. Revenge was gaining popularity, and his new character, Declan Porter, had potential. But by season 2, that potential was gone. In 2013, Revenge killed off Declan Porter in the season finale, making it clear that Paolo's character just wasn't working with the audience. And unfortunately, that marked the beginning of his Hollywood struggle. After that, he couldn't land any major roles. He's been so quiet that you don't see him on red carpets, and he barely even exists on social media. Only time will tell. And that's a wrap. So there you have it. That's where your Gossip Girl stars are now. Some became bigger than ever, some left Hollywood behind, and others faded into obscurity. Tell me, which star's life surprised you the most? And what show should we cover next?